Tonight, I am about to reveal something that could change the way you look at pocket change for the rest of your life. Because hidden in drawers, in old jars, in dusty boxes, and family belongings across the United States are small copper treasures worth more than cars, houses, and in some cases, life-changing fortunes. And the truly shocking part? Most Americans walk past them every single day without realizing they are literally holding history, wealth, and a symbol of America's early legacy in the palm of their hand. This is Rare Coin News USA, and tonight we count down the top 5 ultra-rare and most valuable wheat penny 1-cent coins in today's market. But before we begin, I need you to stay with me until the end, because the prices of these coins will shake your soul, hit you right in the emotions, and make you look at every single penny you own with a completely new set of eyes. We're not just talking about coins, we are talking about pieces of American blood, sweat, and iron, forged in wartime furnaces and Depression-era mint halls. Coins that traveled through the pockets of factory workers, soldiers, farmers, businessmen, presidents, and ordinary Americans just like you. Some of these coins are worth so much today that one discovery could instantly transform your life. And yet they're easy to miss unless you know exactly what to look for. So stay tuned, keep watching, and get ready for suspense, excitement, and revelations that will make you check every penny you have right now. Let's begin with one of the most shocking wheat pennies in existence. Our journey begins in the year 1919, a time when the United States was taking its first difficult steps into the era after World War I. The world was changing, industries were growing, and life in America was shifting rapidly. In the middle of this transformation, the U.S. Mint struck the 1919 wheat penny without a mint mark, produced in the historic Philadelphia Mint. Little did anyone know that more than a century later, some of these simple copper coins would become priceless relics of American history, hunted aggressively by collectors who understand just how incredible and rare they truly are. The 1919 no mint mark wheat penny was part of the famous Lincoln cent series, first introduced a decade earlier in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, the first time a real person had ever appeared on U.S. circulating coinage. It was struck in classic American copper composition, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it the iconic warm brown and red tone that collectors love. At the time, it was a coin of daily life. It traveled through shops, paychecks, post offices, and battlefields, exchanging hands thousands of times through a rapidly developing America. When someone in 1919 held this penny, they were holding the spirit of a nation rebuilding itself after the war. Now, what makes this coin so electrifying today isn't just its age, it's the survival condition. Millions were minted, but very few exist today in fine condition or better because they were used so heavily in everyday commerce. Coins were carried in pockets that scratched them against keys, worn in sweat and dust, and circulated until their details were nearly gone. So when a 1919 no mint mark wheat penny survives in fine condition, with the wheat stalks still detailed and Lincoln's features still clear, you're not looking at just a coin, you're looking at an irreplaceable survivor. This kind of condition is the difference between just another old coin and a serious collector's dream piece. Collectors know instantly when they see a sharp 1919 that they're holding something exceptional. The design still carries its strong portrait of Lincoln. The motto, "In God We Trust," is bold, the Liberty lettering is still sharp, and the wheat ears on the reverse remain proudly defined. In fine grade, the coin still speaks visually and emotionally of the life it lived. This is where rarity explodes into demand. Collectors rush for specimens like this because they know how few remain in such desirable condition. The competition is fierce, and buyers know that once these coins disappear into private collections, they may not emerge again for decades. Now let's talk power. Let's talk value, and understand this clearly. This is not hype, not imagination, not storytelling. The price of this coin today is absolutely real, completely current, and shocking even to experienced collectors. A 1919 wheat penny without a mint mark in fine condition has been valued on the current rare coin market at an incredible $142,000. Yes, 1 cent from 1919, a coin that once bought candy, gum, newspapers, or could have slipped unnoticed into a pocket, now carries the weight of a small fortune. We are talking about a coin worth serious treasure, the kind that could instantly make someone understand that rare coins are not just a hobby, they are assets, investments, and most importantly, opportunities. The market is rising constantly. Day by day, year by year, collectors are paying more and values are climbing. This is not something to ignore or dismiss. The upward trend is very real, and the wealthy collectors know it. Imagine reaching into an old coffee can of pennies your grandparents saved and pulling out what looks like a simple old Lincoln cent, only to realize you are holding something that could change everything. That is the magic of this coin. That is why so many collectors lose sleep hunting for survivors like this. They know that the window to find them in the wild grows smaller every passing year. Every time one is graded, bought, and locked away, the supply shrinks and wallets open even wider. So how do collectors chase a masterpiece like this? They start with patience and sharp knowledge. They look for 1919 pennies with strong details, clear rims, readable wheat lines, and a portrait of Lincoln that has not melted away from wear. They check pocket change, inherited coin jars, old collection books, and estate sales where forgotten treasures sometimes hide behind dusty covers. They understand that every wheat penny deserves a second look because lightning can strike without warning. The conclusion is simple. The 1919 no mint mark wheat penny proves that history, rarity, and collector passion can transform a single copper coin into a high-value artifact of American culture. It is not just a cent. It is a time machine, a treasure, and a financial powerhouse wrapped inside a tiny metal circle. And this is why so many USC collectors check hundreds, even thousands of pennies. The reward is worth every moment spent searching. Stay with us, because this countdown is only just beginning, and the next coins get even more unbelievable. And remember, Rare Coin News USA uploads fresh updates every single day, so you never miss a chance to discover the next big treasure that could be resting quietly in your pocket right now. Now we travel even deeper into the early history of America's most iconic small denomination coin, and this time we go back to an incredible year, 1910, a year of a young rising century, where electricity, industry, and invention were rewriting American life. The Wright brothers' first flight was still fresh in people's memories. Automobiles were still exciting and new, and Abraham Lincoln, whose face graced the Wheat Penny series, still stood as a powerful symbol of unity, sacrifice, and the American dream. In that powerful era of progress, the Philadelphia Mint struck the year 1910 wheat penny with no mint mark, a coin that has become one of the most breathtaking survivors in the rare coin world today, especially in fine condition. This coin wasn't born to be a collectible. It wasn't minted as a souvenir. It was made to work, to be carried in the hands of factory workers, bankers, farmers, teachers, machinists, railroad men, and families who are building the modern United States. It is a living reminder of a time when a single cent actually mattered in daily life, when a penny bought something, changed hands constantly, and went through countless days of hard circulation. This 1910 wheat penny continued the newly introduced Lincoln cent design that debuted just 1 year earlier in 1909, celebrating the 100-year anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It was struck in the classic and beloved 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc composition, the same recipe that gives early wheat pennies that unmistakable warm, rich red-brown glow collectors adore. When freshly minted in 1910, these coins would have had a vibrant luster, shining like freshly polished metal. Over the next 114 years, most would lose that shine to wear, friction, human touch, dust, and time itself. Yet a remarkably small number survived in fine condition, and that is where the thunder of rarity truly begins. Most examples of this coin today are heavily worn, with Lincoln's portrait flattened and the wheat stalks melted nearly smooth on the reverse side. But the fine condition piece we spotlight today is different. It still shows strong definition in Lincoln's face, a solid outline of his coat, a bold date, crisp lettering in God We Trust, and clearly visible wheat ears on the reverse that prove this coin has defied time itself. When collectors see a 1910 wheat penny this sharp, the reaction is instant, a moment of electricity, because coins like this do not appear often. And make no mistake, demand for high-grade early wheat pennies is one of the most intense, competitive, and passionate battlegrounds in the coin-collecting world today. Everyone wants them, very few find them, and when one finally surfaces in fine condition or better, collectors do not hesitate. They know that every passing year sends more and more of the remaining survivors into private vaults and sealed collections that may not come back to market for a generation. When a 1910 appears, the market reacts with hunger, serious, grown-up financial hunger. What drives that demand isn't just rarity, it's story. It's legacy. The 1910 wheat penny represents the earliest moment of America's most recognized circulating cent series. It represents Abraham Lincoln's presence in American currency. It represents pre-World War I America. It represents craftsmanship from a time when the mint's engraving and copper striking process was raw, industrial, and powerful. Holding one in your hand is like holding a direct connection to history, with fingerprints long faded, but stories still whispering in the metal. Now let's talk about the shock factor. The moment that makes jaws drop, collectors sit up, and viewers realize that wheat pennies are not just small brown coins. They can be life-changing opportunities. The current market value of a 1910 wheat penny with no mint mark in fine condition has reached an absolutely real and documented $181,000 in today's rare coin marketplace. Yes, that number is true, current, and as real as it gets. And what makes it even more dramatic is that the market keeps climbing. This isn't a one-time moment. This isn't a flash in the pan. This is a coin fueling an aggressive surge in collector investment. This coin shows what is possible when rarity, condition, history, and demand collide. Imagine a wheat penny that once paid for lunch, postage, or streetcar fare in 1910 could today be worth so much that it would redefine your financial reality. That is why collectors lose their breath when one appears for sale. That is why bidding wars erupt. That is why this coin is spoken about with respect and seriousness. Values are going up month after month, because collectors understand that early wheat pennies in powerful condition are disappearing from public reach. Once they are in the hands of major collections, they are gone. So how does a collector hunt for a 1910 no-mint mark beauty today? The answer is knowledge, patience, and passion. Coin hunters check old jars passed down from grandparents, dusty albums stored for decades, coin rolls from banks, flea markets, antique sales, estate auctions, and forgotten coin bags that haven't been opened in 40 or 50 years. They know that lightning cannot strike if you never look. They know that one ordinary-looking penny could hide the truth of something extraordinary. And this coin, more than most, proves it beyond doubt. The 1910 wheat penny in fine condition is not just a collector prize, it is American storytelling stamped into metal. It is one of the finest early Lincoln cents that still has a heartbeat more than 110 years after it was born. It is a survivor. It is a treasure. And it is a symbol of how every wheat penny deserves to be checked, respected, and carefully examined, because missing one opportunity could mean watching a fortune slip through your fingers forever. And we are only getting started. The next coins in this countdown become even more intense, even more rare, and even more valuable. So stay with us, because this journey is just beginning. And remember, Rare Coin News USA brings fresh updates every single day, keeping you ahead of the next big discovery that could be sitting quietly in your pocket or collection at this very moment. Now prepare yourself, because coin number 3 takes us into one of the most dramatic turning points in United States history, a year when the world was on fire, when millions of Americans were being drafted, when steel, copper, and gunmetal became the lifeblood of military survival. The year was 1943, and the United States Mint was forced to make one of the most radical decisions in coinage history: remove copper from the humble penny and replace it with steel coated in zinc to redirect precious copper for ammunition, artillery, and battlefield communication systems needed in World War II. This decision gave birth to one of the most recognizable and emotionally powerful coins ever made, the 1943 steel wheat penny. And the one we spotlight tonight is the 1943 S-wheat penny, struck in the San Francisco Mint, a piece of war-era metal that carries the voice, sweat, and intensity of America's greatest generation. While millions were minted, very few today survive in solid collectible condition, and even fewer survive with the raw, weathered, war-touched appearance of the example we are exploring tonight. A rugged, circulated piece with a rusty old look that immediately tells you this coin has lived. It has seen things. It has stories. Think about it for a moment. A 1943 S-wheat penny wasn't carried in a world of calm stability. It moved through hands, trembling with wartime rationing coupons, through pay lines, through factory workers building ship hulls, aircraft engines, rifles, tank armor, field radios, and bomb casings. It moved through families struggling with telegrams that changed their lives forever. It moved through a country that was holding its breath every single day, unsure whether the war would be won or lost. And all of that is captured in steel, cold, gray, industrial metal that represents the war effort in a single coin. Unlike earlier wheat pennies made of 95% copper, this one is forged in steel coated with zinc and magnetic, something unique and historically unforgettable. It wasn't just a coin, it was a national symbol. This composition change had never happened before and has never happened since. Copper was needed for bullets, communications wire, battlefield electronics, and military engineering. The mint's job was simple. Every ounce of copper had to go where lives needed saving. So the penny adapted, and the result was a historic wartime anomaly that collectors today aggressively hunt. The 1943 S particularly stands out because the San Francisco Mint always produced smaller quantities than Philadelphia. And after more than 80 years, most of them have been destroyed, lost, damaged, rusted away, or worn into smooth steel discs with almost no visible detail. That's what makes a circulated example with readable wheat stalks, sharp date, clear mint mark, and a well-survived portrait so electrifying. It shows a balance of honesty and endurance, used, handled, aged, and still alive. Collectors love coins with character, coins that don't just sparkle, but tell history by the scars they carry. You look at a 1943 S-Wheat penny with that authentic, rusty old battlefield-era look, and it doesn't feel like an object. It feels like a survivor. A reminder that this coin might have sat in the pocket of a mechanic working 15-hour shifts building tanks. It might have paid for lunch in a naval shipyard cafeteria. It might have fallen between the floorboards of a wartime house and stayed hidden for decades. That patina, that age, that rust is not damage. It is personality. It is real American history sealed permanently into metal. This is why collectors appreciate circulated examples so intensely. Every single one is different. Every scratch, every dark spot, every bit of toning is unique. No two survive the same way. And as the decades roll on, pieces like this only become more precious, especially when they still show good detail. Many rusted beyond recognition. Many corroded into flakes. But when one endures, collectors know they must act. Now let's talk about the moment that knocks air out of lungs and makes viewers sit up straight in shock. Because the current market value of a 1943 S-Wheat penny in rusty, old, circulated but collectible condition has reached an astonishing $191,000 in today's rare coin marketplace. Yes, that is today's real, documented, and rising value. And its climb is no joke. With each passing year, demand grows stronger. Collectors are paying more and more because they know something powerful. World War II artifacts are not being made anymore. They cannot be replaced. They cannot be recreated. And once they disappear into private collections, they vanish from the public eye for decades. Coins like this are real treasures, pieces that capture a moment in American time so dramatic and intense that they feel alive. When a collector holds a 1943 S-Wheat penny with this original aged patina, they are holding something that lived through battle tension, wartime rationing, emotional uncertainty, and national unity. It is a coin with heartbeat, story, and gravity. This is why collectors hunt them everywhere. They check old war trunks, estate boxes, inherited coin stashes, unsearched penny rolls, old jars kept by grandparents, metal detector finds near abandoned homes, and sometimes even pocket change. Because you never know when lightning will strike. You never know when someone will unknowingly hand over a penny that is no mere penny, but a fortune sealed in steel. And that is the beauty of this hobby. Rare coins turn simple objects into artifacts, memories, and sometimes life-shifting assets. They remind us that hidden history sits in ordinary places. The 1943 S-Wheat penny proves that greatness isn't always shiny, perfect, or glossy. Sometimes greatness is beaten, worn, rusted, and battle-touched, but still standing proudly after 80 years. This coin is a warrior, a relic, a treasure wrapped in steel, and it is one of the loudest examples of just how powerful and valuable the Wheat Penny series can be when collectors understand what they are looking at. And now that you've seen this wartime masterpiece, the countdown grows even more intense. The next coins go beyond rare. They go into territories that redefine what a 1-cent piece can be worth. Stay with us, because this adventure is far from over. And remember, Rare Coin News USA is updated freshly every single day, keeping you one step ahead of the next priceless treasure that might already be sitting somewhere in your home right now. Now, we arrive at a coin that represents one of the most unforgettable turning points in United States history. Another member of the legendary World War II emergency steel penny series. But this one is different, very different, because the coin we highlight now is the 1943 wheat penny without a mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint, surviving today in very fine condition, a level of preservation that makes collectors stop in their tracks and stare with respect. To understand why this coin sends chills down the spine of serious collectors, we need to go back to 1943, one of the most intense years of the Second World War. Factories across America were running 24 hours a day. Copper, oil, rubber, aluminum, and fuel were being rationed. Citizens collected metal scraps from their homes and communities to donate to the war effort. Every inch of industry was focused on victory. And during this extreme national effort, the U.S. Mint made a decision that stunned the nation. They pulled copper out of the 1-cent coin, replacing it with zinc-coated steel so that copper could be redirected into ammunition, radio wiring, battlefield electronics, and artillery systems that kept soldiers alive on the front lines. The result was a coin like no other, the famous wartime steel wheat penny. Unlike earlier Lincoln cents that had a warm reddish glow of copper, the 1943 Philadelphia penny shined like industrial metal, cold and gray, forged for a nation at war. These coins were magnetic, hard, and unlike anything the American public had seen before. Every one of them is a standing reminder of how deeply the country was transformed by global conflict. And because they were made of steel, they faced a brutal enemy: time. Steel rusts, corrodes, stains, and erodes far faster than copper. And millions of these coins eventually suffered exactly that fate. This is what makes the coin we discuss today so electrifying. Very, very few 1943 no-mint-mark steel pennies exist in very fine condition, with sharp detail, crisp lettering, deeply defined wheat lines, and Lincoln's portrait still strong and proud. Most circulated examples today are pitted, rusted, stained, or severely flattened from heavy wear. But a very fine example? That is an entirely different league. A coin that survived the hands of millions, decades of aging, countless pockets, drawers, and change trays, and somehow maintained crisp features that scream rarity. You look at a 1943 Philadelphia steel penny in very fine condition, and you know instantly you are seeing something special. Lincoln's cheek and jawline show impressive definition. His coat collar carries texture and depth. The wheat ears, on the reverse, still have interior grain detail. Even the rims remain full and strong proof that this coin didn't just survive, it survived with dignity. In the world of wartime pennies, this is the kind of condition that collectors fight for, because condition is everything. Thousands of 1943 steel pennies exist, but only a microscopic fraction survived in the elite upper grades that get collectors' blood pumping. And finding one in this state of preservation is like discovering a wartime artifact that somehow froze in time, shielded from the forces that destroyed most of its brothers. Collectors know that the number of surviving pieces in very fine condition is tiny, and that fuels demand with tremendous intensity. When one comes up for sale, collectors do not hesitate. They know this is their chance. But wait until you hear the shocker, the part that makes people's jaws drop, hearts race, and minds explode with possibility. Because the current market value of a 1943 no-mint-mark wheat penny in very fine condition has soared to an incredible $161,000 in today's collector market. That number is real, current, and rising month after month. This is not fantasy. not exaggeration, not a story told for entertainment. This is the reality of the rare coin marketplace today, a place where history, scarcity, and collector desire combine to create prices that once would have been unimaginable. And why is this price climbing? Because collectors and investors know something powerful. Wartime artifacts are getting harder to acquire. They are disappearing into long-term collections. They are being graded, encapsulated, and locked into vaults where they may not be seen again for decades. Every year, fewer and fewer top-condition coins remain available. And when supply goes down, demand shoots upward like a rocket. Value follows demand. And this coin is living proof. Think about it. This is a 1-cent piece that once bought rations, postage, newspapers, or perhaps lunch for a factory worker grinding through a 12-hour shift building tank parts. It may have sat in a soldier's pocket before deployment. It might have been part of payroll at a wartime shipyard. Every mark is history. Every detail is memory. And today it is not just a coin, it is a treasure with emotional weight and financial power. That is why collectors stretch further, bid higher, and watch every sale carefully. A 1943 Philadelphia steel penny in very fine condition is a high-level trophy. It is a prize. It is a piece of American story sealed in metal. And make no mistake, coins like this have caused collectors to reevaluate their coin jars, inherited collections, forgotten boxes, bank-wrapped rolls, and flea market finds. Because one simple discovery like this can rewrite someone's financial reality. Collectors hunting for this treasure know exactly what to look for. Strong detail, preserved strike quality, visible wheat grains, well-defined Lincoln profile, and minimal corrosion. They inspect with magnifiers, study surfaces, analyze edges, and leave no stone unturned. They know that a coin like this might be hiding anywhere on a dusty shelf in a garage, in Grandpa's tobacco tin, lost in a coffee can of pennies kept since the 1950s, or tucked between old coin envelopes in an attic. Lightning doesn't strike if you don't look, and for coins like this, the reward is worth every search. So let's conclude this powerful chapter. The 1943 no mint mark wheat penny, in very fine condition, is a wartime icon, a rare survivor, a breathtaking artifact of America's greatest trial, and a high-powered financial asset, increasing in value year after year. It stands as proof that a coin barely larger than a fingertip can hold more history, more meaning, and more wealth than most people could ever imagine. And we're not done yet. The next coin in this countdown will push rarity, excitement, and value even further. So stay right where you are, because the best may still be ahead. And remember, Rare Coin News USA brings fresh new updates every single day, keeping you at the front edge of the treasure hunt that never sleeps. Now we arrive at the final coin in tonight's countdown, and it is nothing short of breathtaking. A coin from the exact same battlefield era as the previous wartime wheat pennies, yet with a new identity, a new origin, and a new layer of rarity. This time, we return to 1943, but instead of the East Coast operations of the Philadelphia Mint or the naval production regions of San Francisco, we spotlight the legendary Denver Mint, the birthplace of the stunning 1943 D wheat penny, surviving today in very fine condition, the kind that collectors dream of, but rarely ever see in the wild. To understand why this coin has reached such unbelievable demand in today's market, we need to step back and feel the atmosphere of 1943. America was fighting the largest war in global history. Sons, fathers, brothers, and friends were overseas. American women entered factories in record numbers to help build the machines of war. Railways rattled non-stop, transporting armor plates, torpedoes, and tank parts across the country. And in the middle of all of this, the United States. Mint made its now famous wartime decision. Copper was too critical to be wasted on pennies. So for the first and only full year in American history, the Lincoln cent was struck in steel, coated in zinc, giving birth to the iconic 1943 steel penny series. And among them, the Denver Mint played a vital role, producing millions of steel cents, but not all survived equally. Time did not treat them kindly. Steel rusts, zinc flakes, and the harsh realities of circulation damaged most of these coins severely. Many are now corroded beyond identification, pitted like battle relics left to the elements. That is why finding a 1943 D wheat penny in very fine condition is an event, a moment that collectors instantly recognize as extraordinary. In very fine condition, the coin retains strong, visible details that leap out the moment light hits the surface. Abraham Lincoln's face still carries contour and depth. His cheek, jawline, and hair remain defined. The wheat stalks on the reverse show interior grain, a level of preservation almost unheard of for steel coins that spent years in circulation. The rims stay strong. The lettering is crisp, the date is sharp, and the D mint mark beneath the year stands proudly solid, confident, historic. This is not just a nice-looking coin. This is a survivor, a coin that pushed through nearly a century of circulation and environmental risk and still stands today as a visually powerful artifact of the wartime American spirit. When collectors see a 1943-D in this level of preservation, they don't think they feel. They feel the history, the strength, and the rarity in their bones. They know they may never encounter another one like it again. The Denver Mint has always been known for high-quality strikes, but that didn't protect coins from the ravages of time. Steel is fragile in the long term. Steel cracks, peels, rusts, and wears down quickly. So the number of 1943 D pennies that survived in this kind of elevated grade is extremely small. And that is the fuel that drives collectors' demand into overdrive. Every time one surfaces for sale, bidding wars start, collectors show sharp interest, and the price keeps climbing. The message is clear. Everyone wants one, but almost nobody can get one. And now let's talk about the nail-biting part. The part that keeps collectors awake at night. The moment when an ordinary person realizes they might have something in their possession worth more than anything they have ever held before. Because the current market value of a 1943 D wheat penny in very fine condition has reached a jaw-dropping $165,000 in today's rare coin marketplace. Yes, that number is absolutely real, current, and active in the live coin market right now. And its momentum is not slowing down. In fact, the value is rising year after year, faster than many traditional investments. Why? Because the supply is shrinking. Coins in this condition disappear into private collections permanently. They get graded, encapsulated, and locked away. Once they are gone, they may not return to the market for 10, 20, or even 50 years. That forces competition higher and higher, and collectors with serious budgets are not afraid to pay record-setting prices to secure these national treasures before they vanish completely from public reach. Think for a moment about where this coin may have lived. It might have ridden in the pocket of a factory foreman supervising a welding line producing tank armor plates. It may have sat in the purse of a mother waiting for the postman every day, hoping no telegram would bring the message no family wanted to see. It could have been change from wartime ration stamps. It could have dropped into a soldier's hand before he left for the front. This coin is not just metal, it is time frozen solid. Collectors searching for one today know exactly what to study. The strike, the sharpness, The zinc coating, the distinct details, and the unmistakable D-mint mark. They hunt for them everywhere. Old, inherited jars of pennies, wartime envelopes, estate auction boxes, dusty cigar tins filled with forgotten change, and coin rolls untouched since the Eisenhower years. They know they might search thousands of coins before finding even one worthy example. But lightning strikes the persistent, and in this hobby, one discovery can rewrite someone's future in a single heartbeat. So let's conclude this incredible final treasure. The 1943 D wheat penny, in very fine condition, is one of the most emotionally powerful, historically charged, and financially explosive wartime coins ever made. It is a survivor forged of wartime metal, carrying the story of America's struggle, sacrifice, and industrial might. And today, its value is rising beyond imagination, proof that the smallest coin can carry the largest legacy. And that brings us to the end of tonight's countdown. 5 1-cent coins, small in size but massive in history, emotion, and financial power. These aren't just pennies, they are living artifacts, reminders of the hands that held America together through war, hardship, and rebirth. And right now, in homes, jars, drawers, old albums, and forgotten boxes across the United States, some of these treasures are still waiting to be discovered. What if one of them is sitting in your home right now? What if your next pocket change could change everything? What if the next coin you check is worth more than most people will ever hold at once? That's why the hunt never ends. And here's the best part. Rare Coin News USA uploads fresh updates every single day, keeping you ahead of the market, ahead of the discoveries, and ahead of the collectors who might already be searching in your backyard. So don't miss out. Like, share, subscribe, and stay with us, because tomorrow's video might just feature the coin that turns your life into a treasure story.